Spinner had done her, the girl that he thought was his dream. But he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. He's found a new way to get the excitement he needs. He pops it in, he's got it wired to every screen. 'Cause this is the way that it's destined to go. Heard from the people, see no one at all. Trying his hardest to leave them behind. Is there any reason to prove he's alive when all that he lives is fantasy? Not answering back, just a script that he thinks holds the key to everything he wants. Hostility and honesty. Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain. It's got a super porno combo. Should never lie again. No, no. Oh, no. No. Oh, oh, oh. Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain. He's got a super porno combo. Should never lie again. No, no. This is the way that it's destined to go. Heard from the people, see no one at all. Trying his hardest to leave them behind. Is there any reason to prove he's alive? It's on his TV set, so never forget. No, it's on his TV set, so never forget. No, it's on his TV set, so never forget. No, it's on his TV set, so never forget. No, 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 no.
Hello, my Mercurial mercenaries. It's very likely the case that there's only a few of you here now. I've done that thing that you shouldn't do on YouTube, where you do a reasonably popular video and you follow it up with something like this. But yeah, I know, career suicide, but I know there's some of you out there who enjoy hearing how songs are created and stories behind songs. Now, I also admit that I'm not really one for listening to music videos by YouTubers. So this is a weird mix of the kind of video that I wouldn't watch and the kind of video that I want to watch, because it's about stories. So you've got the music and the story. Anyway, that was a song. Get yourself a coffee, because this is going to be a rambling. Someone recently wrote, Mercurial number 6, do yourself a favour and make shorter videos. You might be successful then. Well, I think we're long past me being successful. This was a song called Superpornocombo, and I'm also aware that because of the name of the song, this video's probably not even going to appear in your feeds because it's got the word porno in it. And now the YouTube algorithm sort of transcribes words as you're saying them. Have you noticed now, when you're looking at YouTube on your phone or whatever, and the little thumbnails come up, I find myself that I've actually started to watch quite a few videos just on the thumbnail where it starts to sort of show what the person's saying. See that? So on the thumb, when you just sort of go through the videos like this, the writing now comes up like subtitles without even having to listen to it, without even having to click on the video. So I find I'm just watching videos in the actual thumbnail space. What the hell? Of course, this video now, because I've said the word porno, and it's in the title, I'm sure YouTube are not up for me talking about porno. Anyway, this is Super Porno Combo. As you can tell, this is rambling because I haven't thought about what I'm going to say. But like I said, I'm aware that hardly anyone's watching this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Super Porno Combo. This is another song that I wrote probably about 18, 19 years ago. So there will probably be people out there right now who are younger than this song. But let's talk about the song. Whoa! Let's talk about the song by playing said song. Here we go. Right, start at the beginning. Right, headphones. If I play a little bit of the song, I haven't thought about what I'm going to say, and I haven't listened. That was the first time, pretty much, that we just played a minute ago, that I've listened to this song in years and years. But the lyrics came back to me, and some of the little moments in this. Sorry, between me recording my reaction and now, I just had a chicken curry, so you can probably see the chicken curry oozing out of my pores. Not. Meow. Right, here we go. Right, just bear with me here. Let's have a look. Okay, first of all, an acoustic guitar starting the song. Back around 19 years ago, I was very much into the idea of an acoustic driving a rock band on an album. And yeah, it's nothing new. Bands have been doing that forever, and bands still do it now. But the idea that you can have a kind of punky indie band driven by an acoustic guitar. So, like big, brash cowboy chords. And also, interestingly, at the beginning, is the introducing the main gist of the song. I like the way that the song comes in, diggity, and we got a whistle, a referee's whistle, one of those metal referee's whistles, and we blew the whistle at the beginning of the song. This was back in the days when you did actually use instruments to make music rather than just using samples. Having said that, I have no problem with sampling and samples, and this song contains loads of samples too. So, but I quite like, as far as the intro goes so far into this song, Super Porno Combo, I quite like that. So got like a dun 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 dun. That's a bit of electrics there, and also at the beginning you'll notice that we've got like 8-bit arcade game sound effects going on. This is very much a kitchen sink song, and I quite enjoy kitchen sink songs. I think it's a place, definitely a place for minimalism and sort of razor sharp, getting to the point. And there's also a place for just everything, like a stew, like a melting pot. And if you think about it, that's what this channel is. It kind of means you're destined for failure because people don't want melting pots. They don't want stews. They want concise. They want to go out and buy a pack of razor blades. They don't want to buy a pack, like a bag with just someone's possessions chucked in it. Do you know what I mean? I forgot what I was going to say then. So you've got the sound effects there.
It's been redone, huh?
Perhaps it's just worth noting the Super Porno Combo bit. Again, no one has ever asked me about any of my lyrics, about what they mean. Ever. So I'm volunteering this to you guys, but understand it's coming from a place where no one has ever come up to me, ever, at a gig, family, friends, studio, bandmates, ever, and said to me, Mercurial number 6, what are those lyrics about? Ever. So I'm volunteering this to you, and I don't really think you're going to care either. But the title, Super Porno Combo, no one ever asked me where it came from, But when I was a kid, on my wall, because I was, when you're a teenager, you're all angsty, I had the Taxi Driver poster on my wall, Robert De Niro film from the 70s, 1976 was it? The exact year. But if you look at that poster, in the background, behind Robert De Niro walking towards the camera, I think it is, it just says up on the billboard, Superpornocombo. So that's where that came from. Kind of inspired the song. However, listening to the lyrics, they were not just inspired by the title of the song. The title was probably more inspired by the lyrics. And it starts with, how did it start? He's been there and done her.
He's been there and done her. The girl that he thought was his dream.
There's so much going on in this song. It's quite hard to just. He's been there and done her. The girl that he thought was his dream. And even right, so let's assume that you can listen to the lyrics and make of them what you will to a certain extent. But even just, we've got two lines. He's been there and done her. The girl that he thought was his dream. Right. He's been there and done her. And I got my drummer at the time to just shout through a megaphone, "Who? He's been there and done her. Who? The girl that he thought was his dream." And then we've got a bullwhip, like an Indiana Jones, I think it's an Indiana Jones then, Indiana Jones bullwhip. Whoosh! He's been there and done her. Who? The girl that he thought was his dream. Now, I think we got a whip into this studio, or a belt or something to make the whip sound. It might be a sample. I can't remember. But he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. He's been there and done her, the girl that he thought was his dream. But he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. That was quite poignant to me, as we've talked about with other songs over the weeks. Yeah, probably another song about losing a girl, whatever. What you'll find really is some bands can write about aeroplanes and things. Most people, I know it's a cliche, but most people end up writing about love. Man, I'm writing about love. Love, 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 love. He's been there and done her, the girl that he thought was his dream. But he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. Now we're going to get into the subject of the song.
But he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. He's found a new way to get the excitement he needs.
He's found a new way to get the excitement he needs. Right? He pops it in, he's got it wired to every screen. And the interesting thing there is, right, you can see where this is going, kind of. We are talking about, it sounds like a really bad Van Halen song. We're talking about porn! He pops it in, he's got it wired to every screen. I used to know this guy who, I'd go around his house, and it was a bit strange because he had TVs in all the rooms of his house. And they would all be playing porn. On mute. Just porn going. So you'd walk into the living room and there'd be like an arse going up and down, and you'd go into the kitchen, or not the kitchen actually, I'm exaggerating there, but you'd go into a bedroom and there'd be like, two legs up in the air like that, with toes going on the screens. And I thought, I've got to write a song about this. It's that's quite fantastic. And interesting, in the studio when I was recording that line, but he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. He's found a new way to get the excitement he needs. He pops it in, he's got it wired to every screen. At that point, the producer said, why didn't Mercurial number 6, can you go, make a breath sound? It should be so easy. What I actually found was, when I was doing that into the mic on the day, I sounded like an asthmatic old dog. But perhaps that works. So in the background of that line, if you listen now, you've got an asthmatic old dog trying to make, sort of, I suppose, sexual breathing, but it was the sexual breathing. It was the Marvin Gaye song that he never did.
He could believe he's found a new way
There.
to get the excitement he needs. He pops it in, he's got it wired to every screen. 'Cause this
Right.
is the way
So this is the chorus.
destined to go. Hide from the people, see no one.
So much to talk about here. 'Cause this is the way that it's destined to go. Hide from the people, see no one at all. You'll notice on this song, and I've been speaking about it recently on when I was talking about Bandmade, the idea of playing with sequenced instruments. And people will tell you, oh no, if you play to a backing tape or you play to computers or whatever, you're not a real band, you're not a real live band. But this song has a sequenced bass line, computer-generated bass line, really growly, kind of moogy bass line. That you couldn't get the same dirty, grotty, seedy effect from just a standard bass guitar. So this, we're talking 18 years ago or whatever, but this song was quite, relatively cutting edge for its time. Let's just say that. And the whole vibe of this song is supposed to be grotty, dirty, sleazy. It's not supposed to necessarily sound like Taxi Driver era 70s New York, Times Square or whatever, but it's at least supposed to sound a little bit, not nasty, it's all good natured, but sleazy, I suppose. And interestingly, this chorus, I keep saying interestingly, what's interesting, really? But from my point of view, it's like a falsetto chorus. So this is the way it's destined to go. Hide from the people, see no one at all. So we're veering from the idea of the screens showing. I don't want to spell things out, but this is probably a song about. Funny enough, I watched the Netflix, the brand new Netflix Ted Bundy documentary today. Hideous crimes. And it's interesting that again, none of this is interesting particularly, but at the end, just before he was executed, he was, I think, trying to blame all of his crimes on porn, watching porn. And, there was a police officer or whatever at the time saying, well, hang on a second. Loads of people watch porn, but they don't become horrific serial killers. I've got to say that as the years have rolled by, I think we are getting to a position now where, not a sexual position, a position now where perhaps like porn has become all evasive or invasive, whatever I'm trying to say, where, all your kids have got access to anything in their hand. They don't have to search it out on the top row of a newsagent's. It's just here. So and the things that kids feel is like natural or whatever at a very early age to do with their girlfriends or boyfriends, because they've seen it here. It's probably a problem. But this song is an amalgamation of porn and kind of receding into yourself. Again, not sexually. Kind of becoming reclusive, like a Howard Hughes thing. This is the way that it's destined to go. Hide from the people, see no one at all. Trying his hardest to leave them behind. Now, I think again this was a point where I had left a band that I had created, and this was like my first kind of proper I would say this is a solo outing. It's a proper band, but it's a band that it's taking it. I suppose It's taking it up a step. As a teenager, you form a band, you're a guitar player or whatever in a band, you're a singer, you sing the songs, you've got all your mates around you, the girlfriends, the friends, hang out at gigs together, you practice, you do this and that. This was just taking that concept and then getting to the point where I write the songs, I play all the instruments, and then we play it live. Yeah. So, trying his hardest to leave them behind. I'm doing that thing again, what I've talked about before, where I used to, especially in the early days, I used to find it easier to pretend I was talking about someone else when I was actually talking about myself. And you'll find, if we carry this sort of series on any further, you'll find that sometimes I talk about a girl and a girl's story to totally distance it from myself so that no one will ever think that I'm talking about me. Because if I'm talking about her over there, that can't be me. But anyway, trying his hardest to leave them behind. Is there any reason? Now, I like this bit because one of my favourite ever songs is God Only Knows by Brian Wilson, basically. Can't remember who wrote the lyrics. Might have been Tony Asher. I need to look that up. But it was off Pet Sounds, Beach Boys. And there's a song called God Only Knows. And there's loads of amazing feats of ingenuity that song manages to perform. For a start, it's always rising. It's going up and up and up. It's like we had it on a King Gizzard album once. There's a name for it. That sound that it's always rising, a perpetually rising. And it's God Only Knows is a perpetually rising song. But there's also an interesting part in it where the chorus becomes the verse in the cleverest way. And I copied that, or, I'm going to sound like but I used that idea in this song. So the chorus becomes the verse in what I consider seamless fashion. Let's just see if I can back that up by listening to the song here. Alan.
From the people, see no one at all. Trying his hardest to leave them behind. Is there any reason to prove he's alive?
So, is there any reason to prove? So the verse 2 starts with the word prove. Prove he's alive. Because I've sung the first half of that. Is there any reason to prove he's alive? I've split the first half of the words over the end of the chorus. So when it comes into verse 2, it's starting with prove he's alive. To me, that's my nod to God Only Knows by Brian Wilson. And no one has ever noticed that. No one has ever cared. No one's ever asked me. But the song was relatively successful, so someone somewhere probably subconsciously noticed. So is there any reason to prove?
Is there any reason to prove he's alive when all that he lives is fantasy? Not answering back, just a script that he thinks holds the key.
So another one of the things I did was doing a lot around that time, and I think it's just hitting one. I don't know why I did that to you. Just hitting one note on the guitar and bending it. And then there was another song I did it on, and maybe we'll play that one day as well, where I did, and then I recorded the note again, but rather than start with the string straight, I started with the string already bent, and then when you play those two things together, they phase each other. Well, if we ever get there, we'll talk about it then. That's a little trick I used to do a lot. I think a band called Air did it on a song called Sexy Boy, I think it was. We're going back a long time, probably the 90s. To prove, is there any reason to prove he's alive when all that he lives is fantasy? So you're a recluse, you're in your house, and every screen in your house is playing porn. Is there any reason to prove you're alive when all that you live is fantasy? No answering back. The women that you're watching on the screens, the youth of today, what they're watching on their phones, these women can't answer back. They're all just playing to a script. The script. Okay, what are the lyrics again? Hang on. Hang on.
Is there any reason to prove he's alive when all that he lives is fantasy? No answering back, just a script.
Okay, so there. No answering back. And a girl scream. I think that's a sample, but it's supposed to be seedy. No answering back. The idea of a slap on the arse there. You got to imagine just writhing naked. I suppose men and women, but let's just think about women for the minute. Writhing naked women, all greased up, lubed up, and just writhing all over each other, like the cover of a Jimi Hendrix album, and someone bullwhipping. It's supposed to sound sleazy.
That he thinks holds the key to everything he wants. Hostility and honesty. Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain. It's got a super porno combo. She'll never lie again.
Okay. Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain. There's a great line in Taxi Driver. Robert De Niro's doing this like monologue, and he says, "Someday a rain's going to come and wash from the streets." One of my favourite moments in any film. I love that whole speech. So yeah, I'm mentioning Singing in the Rain here, which is a great film, one of my favourite films as well. But I'm really kind of getting that little monologue there. He's got a super porno combo. She'll never lie again. She can't lie if he's now immersed himself in a world of fake women and porn. No one can ever lie to him again because no one really exists. This is another... People always thought, I think, that this was a happy song. People always smiled when we played it. But again, I'm sort of sensing the melancholy here. This isn't a happy song, is it? This is a guy who has been hurt. Well, I don't know. Look at this. Listen to the first line. He's been there and done her, the girl that he thought was his dream, but he lost interest more quickly than he could believe. He had the girl. He had the girl. But he lost interest in the girl. So it's not even... I don't know. I think it's quite a sad song. Listen to it now. With a hindsight of 18 years. Okay, we've got the instrumental break. It's very Buzzcocks, Orgasm Addict inspired. It's no surprise to you, hopefully, that I'm a massive fan of the Buzzcocks. Oh, baby! Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain.
Tired of watching Taxi Driver singing in the rain. What a shame. He's got a super porno combo. She'll never lie again. No.
Okay, into the chorus again. This is the way it's destined to go. Hide from the people.
See no one at all. Trying his hardest to leave them behind.
Trying his hardest to leave the past behind. I've spoken about this a couple of times in the various songs, but there is songs written around this period of sort of 18, 20, 19, 18, 17 years ago are very much, or even more than that actually, going back to 2019 now. So songs dating back 22 years ago, I suppose. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17 years ago. Very much the idea of looking forwards and trying to aspire to be better than the people I'd left behind. Now, whether I achieved that or not is completely debatable. But I had no problem with I was trying to persuade myself, I think, that I had no problem with moving on. But maybe I had a problem with moving on. Hard to know. But in this last bit now, we've introduced another bit of guitar playing. It goes sorry, hide that. Like I said earlier, it's like very much a kitchen sink song. I'm just chucking stuff in, chucking it. And I kind of chuck it and hope it works. Still with that dirty bass line going. Okay, going to the outro now. It's on his TV set. I can even got keyboards coming in and go. This keyboard down the bottom corner of the screen here that you can see, down here. This is a Korg Triton keyboard. Now that was a probably it would not be pushing it to say that was the most advanced keyboard of the late 90s. If you watch any Jules Holland show, Top of the Pops, whatever from the late 90s, early noughties, you'll see that they all use Korg Tritons, probably with sellotape, masking tape over the back of the keyboard so you can't read it says Korg, but that's what they all used. And it was a great keyboard in the tradition of like the Korg M1. It was a workstation keyboard. You could program whole tracks, layers of instruments into this thing, and I could also run it live, which was amazing. So I could produce a lot of these effects with the whips going off and stuff on stage. So I'd be playing it live, got drummer, bassist, me, singing, guitars. It's on a TV set! And then I'd do that, like, so never forget, no, it's on this TV set, wow! And I'd do that in the mic, wow! And at the same time, through the PA would come a, don't swear, would come a bullwhip sound. It's on this TV set! And the crowd would be like, you know, we would sound, I mean, it was quite novel in the day. But I can hear bands like Bandmade and whatever doing it today, and it's you know, and I've got no problem with it. And that's my drummer in the background going, wow! We had a megaphone. I think it was like a kid's plastic. You know, there's like voice changing plastic megaphones you can buy, like a handle with a thing on it. Wow! And it just makes your voice go like that. Whistle again. Keyboard solo. Now, in the background here, I asked the drummer to just shout stuff through the megaphone. He's giving some sort of speech here. I've never really heard what he's actually saying. But it certainly ends with him shouting for a taxi. Taxi! Taxi! Like you would on the street, which I think is funny. Very funny. I think it's funny. You might not think it's funny. And that, at the end there, that I forgot what it's called. That sound. It's like a ball thing with a thing on it, and you hit it with the side of your hand. It goes. That's not a sample. We brought one of those into the studio, and the drummer just hit it at that moment. And he shouts "Taxi, taxi!" and the song ends. Bearing in mind the shit we get into with copyright these days. Back in those days, it was like people were just sampling any old thing. I just sampled some porn. Well, let's just listen to it. Now. I love that theremin sound. and I fade it out on the girl. Oh, oh. The bloke's actually saying at the end, if I remember rightly, you can just about hear it. He's saying, it's not that your tits are too big. It's that they're not big enough. And she goes, oh, oh. Let's listen to that again. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's that they're not big enough. So that's the song Superpornocombo from, like I say, 19 years ago now. I keep saying 18 years ago. I probably wrote it 20 years ago. I can't remember. But I think to give too much away behind a lyric is a mistake. But as no one really cares about lyrics, what does it matter? So I would say that even though I've given a flavour of the lyrics, they're still open to your own interpretation. But let's face it, no one's rushing to listen to my music anyway. And this will probably be a very poorly received video. And again, it's hard to... This is a channel that I just do what I feel like. And people will always tell you, don't. Not don't. That's double negative, that would mean do. People will tell you, don't just do what you like. Pick something that people are interested in, like Bandmade or something, and just do 1,000 videos about them. But if you have got any ideas for something you want me to do next, I've got loads of ideas, but I was going to do a top 20 Iron Maiden songs, but I just don't think anyone would watch it. Anyway, let me know what you think down below about anything. Tell me how your day was. Tell me what your favourite coffee is. This is decaf. It's not bad. I used to drink it with milk. I've actually got to the point now where I can drink it black. I've become a black coffee drinker. Colombo is black coffee. What I need to do is get cigars as well. Start smoking cigars. Thank you very much. Over and bye.